In the following dramatization, notice what habits hinder family communication.
Hey, Steve. Yeah, I'm sorry I was late to the meeting. I should have been there to help out with my assignment. Yeah, we got delayed.
We're late. Let's go, kids. We're coming. Sorry.
Yeah, the family's fine. Everybody's adjusting really well. Anyone see my glasses? Anyone? I mean, we might be a little out of sync, but I don't know. Every family has their issues, right? You going outside now?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, well, thanks for understanding. All right. Okay, take care. All right, bye-bye.
Did you notice some habits that hinder family communication?
I noticed scenes depicting a family preoccupied with their smartphones, but to be fair, who says that families should be in constant communication? I mean, if you're going to follow any family around with a film crew, let's say you're doing a fly-on-the-wall documentary about a typical family, you're going to find times when they're not communicating. You're going to find times when they're not talking, because it would be frankly ludicrous for any family, any group of individuals to be constantly in communication with each other. It would be exhausting, wouldn't it? But I think the problem here, well, there are two problems. I'm going to come to the second one. I think the problem here is not a problem of communication. It's a problem of the way time is used and the fact that this is an organization that demands a lot of time from Jehovah's Witnesses for preaching, for family worship. We're going to see that depicted later on in this series of dramatizations. Personal study, meeting attendance, various privileges that one might have within the congregation, and we saw that alluded to in the dramatization. It's a time-intensive faith, isn't it? And if there's anything that's going to make it a little bit harder for Jehovah's Witnesses to devote themselves fully to this organization, to the myriad of things that's expected of them in terms of timekeeping, well, the organization's going to have a problem with it, to the extent where they're going to make a HD propaganda video. In truth, if when the family were glued to their smartphones, if they'd been glued to JW Library, if they'd been doing some preparation for the meeting on their smartphones, would there be an issue? Would Robert Lucioni have a problem with the lack of communication in that situation? And that actually reminded me of an experience I had when I was younger. I was about 14 or 15 years old, and I was only just at that relatively late age starting to get involved, or get interested, I should say, in football. not American football, soccer, which is football. So I was starting to get interested in football, and my team was Manchester United. I'm born in Manchester, and my mother was a Man United fan. And I got so into it that I was buying every month the Manchester United Club magazine. And I was reading up on all of the players. There was one particular player, Brian McClare, who wrote a diary called Chucky's Diary. And I really enjoyed reading that for whatever reason. And I enjoyed reading all the various interviews and that kind of thing. So I was devotedly buying this football magazine. And one day, Mum came up to me and she said, "You know what, Lloyd? Your dad said something to me the other day. He came home from work and he saw you reading your Manchester United magazine. And he said it made him sad because he would feel so much happier if he came home from work and you were instead reading a Watchtower." And those words have stayed with me, obviously, for years since. That's what's expected of Jehovah's Witnesses. It doesn't matter so much about the communication. That's a total red herring. That's a total distraction. It's frankly irrelevant. What they're bothered about is your devotion, is making sure that if you're doing something, it in some way benefits them. And those were the expectations placed on me as a young Jehovah's Witness. So to see this depicted in a dramatization was unnerving, to say the least. And you will also have seen that Olivia gets mildly reprimanded about wearing ripped jeans to school. Olivia's jeans are apparently a huge problem. And not just Olivia, the reason why this is featured in the dramatization is clearly as a message to all Jehovah's Witnesses that there are some styles of jeans that make Jehovah sad that you would be advised not to wear. And that will be revisited later on in this series of dramatizations.
Let's watch more of our dramatization and notice the benefits of developing habits that promote good communication.
I don't know. What do you think?
We all have to work on it. I know I need to.
Why don't we approach it that way with the kids? Just be open with them.
That sounds like a good idea.
Okay, so Irene and I have been talking about communication in our family.
We want to talk about our phones and other devices.
You're not talking about me, are you?
You can't do that.
I know that we can all be
need
more
it.
balanced, but
You're joking, right? You mean
you
them.
can't take them away.
I haven't done anything bad.
I have responsibilities.
Hold on.
You're always on your phone too.
That's true.
It's okay. Let's just talk about it. All right? Sue, can you read Ephesians 5:15 and 16 for us, please?
Thou shalt not spend too much time on thy smartphones. I'm kidding, it doesn't say that.
So keep strict watch that how you walk is not as unwise, but as wise persons, making the best use of your time, because the days are wicked.
So, how do you think we're doing with our phones and other devices?
It isn't that what you're doing on your devices is wrong.
Exactly, but could it be taking time away from more important things? Like talking to each other. And in that way affecting even how we're talking to each other.
Yeah. I think it'd be smart to have some boundaries then.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Okay. Let's talk about how we can do that.
Hey,
Hey, Olivia.
Hey.
Evidently, I haven't figured out how to talk to her about her clothes yet. I need your help.
I got this one. I know, but it's all about good spiritual judgment. Do you think that these trends reflect Jehovah's view of respectable dress? I know that you'll do the right thing.
Hey, Gabe, can you take us?
While we're all here, I know we all have different views on punctuality, but I really need your help so I can take care of some of my responsibilities. You think we can meet in the middle?
Yeah.
All right. Great.
So there we go. The jeans have been thrown in the bin. Presumably there's a Sparlock toy in there as well. Maybe Olivia's been making Jehovah sad in that way as well. Any number of ways, of course, you can make Jehovah sad. And I'm glad that the organization is just, again, putting their cards on the table. I don't need to explain to my audience how controlling and micromanaging the organization is. I can just play the video and the evidence is right there in front of you. I should mention that this is in the symposium Follow the Roadmap to Family Peace. Robert Lucioni, who is a governing body helper to the publishing committee, has been taking us through the theme Improve Communication. So this series of, or this part of the series of dramatizations is supposed to have been about how to improve communication. But for me, it was really more about timekeeping, which is expressly referred to in the verse that they turn to there in Ephesians. It's not about communication, is it? It's more about what are you doing with your time? Is your time promoting Jehovah's organization, or is it aiding you in drawing closer to Jehovah's organization? So a bit disingenuous the way they've tried to use communication or improving communication as a pretext for these videos, but they've woven in this, again, underlying message about timekeeping. Then we get to Olivia's jeans, which are apparently scandalous. Maybe Tibor can overlay a zoomed in image of Olivia walking in with her jeans. And I believe there's also a close-up of said apparel when Olivia is in her room. Let's just replay the part where Irene is reasoning with Olivia about these jeans.
I know, but it's all about good spiritual judgment. Do you think that these trends reflect Jehovah's view of respectable dress? I know that you'll do the right thing.
So apparently wearing the wrong style of jeans can reflect poor spiritual judgment. We need to avoid trends that don't reflect Jehovah's view of respectable dress. Who gets to decide what is or isn't Jehovah's view of respectable dress? Think about the Bible dramas and think about what people were supposedly wearing in Bible times. You know, sackcloth basically is quite often what people are dressed in Bible times. Since when does Jehovah have a list in any given year of what clothing is or isn't respectable. If you're a Jehovah's Witness watching this, please think about this for a moment. From my point of view, what seems to have happened is that the Jehovah's Witness view of respectable dress got locked in the 1950s. The 1950s was apparently when it was decided what should be respectable dress. So if you're a guy and you're in a casual situation, the standard is to wear either a buttoned-up shirt or a polo shirt and cream slacks with the belt and the shirt tucked in. So that's respectable dress, casual. If you're doing home maintenance, maybe you'll be allowed to wear jeans, but definitely not ripped jeans, as we've just seen. And obviously, there's the suit and tie for meetings. For women, you're obviously not allowed to wear pants to the Kingdom Hall meeting. Thumbnail here, if Tibor is gracious, to a cringeworthy example of a lady being clamped down on for daring to wear pants to her Kingdom Hall when she started studying with Jehovah's Witnesses. Again, who gets to decide all this? Where does it say in the Bible that women can't wear pants? Where does it say in the Bible that the 1950s was when acceptable dress and clothing was decided for all time? In reality, standards and styles of dress are changing all the time, so that if you were to lock in any particular period in history and say this is the way people should dress, decades or centuries later, you'd be looking back at people wearing those clothes. I'm thinking of the Amish, and you'd be thinking, why? You know, maybe it's your religious faith, I get it, but why specifically is this style of dress pleasing to God, a God who is apparently unfazed by children dying of all sorts of illnesses, who folds his arms through the Holocaust? He lets all sorts of injustices and atrocities slip by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. But what he is bothered about, apparently, is what type of clothing we put on our bodies.